My name is Zoe. I am 34 years old, and I will never forget the night my mother told me not to come to their 40th anniversary party. Her exact words were, "Don't come. It's better for everyone." I thought being excluded was the worst part. But hours later, my sister posted a photo that exposed everything they had been hiding from me. Before I show you what that photo revealed, let me know where you are watching from today. Please hit that like button and subscribe. Because what my parents were hiding was not just favoritism. It was something that shattered everything I believed about my own family. Growing up in Sacramento, California, I always felt like an outsider in my own home. My family appeared normal from the outside. My father, Harold, worked as a civil engineer for a large construction firm. My mother, Diane, managed a branch of a regional bank. We lived in a nice house in a good neighborhood. We had family dinners on Sundays and vacations every summer. But beneath that picture-perfect surface, something was deeply wrong. My younger sister Megan was born 3 years after me. From the moment she arrived, everything shifted. Megan had sparkling blue eyes, just like our mother, and golden blonde hair that matched our father perfectly. People would stop my parents on the street to comment on how beautiful she was, how she looked exactly like a combination of them both. Then there was me, brown hair, brown eyes, a face that did not quite match either of my parents. My grandmother once said at a family gathering, "Zoe looks like she belongs to a different family." Everyone laughed like it was a harmless joke, but I was 8 years old, and that comment burrowed into my heart like a splinter that never came out. The favoritism started small, so small that I convinced myself I was imagining things. Megan took ballet lessons at the most prestigious studio in Sacramento. Our parents attended every single recital, sitting in the front row with flowers and cameras. I joined the basketball team at school and became the starting point guard by 7th grade. When I scored the winning shot at the regional championship, I scanned the bleachers looking for my parents. Their seats were empty. They had taken Megan to a ballet workshop in San Francisco that weekend. Birthday parties told the same story. Megan's 10th birthday was a princess-themed extravaganza with a bounce castle, a professional face painter, and a 3-tiered cake shaped like a castle. 30 kids from her class came. My 10th birthday was a pizza dinner at home with just our family. My mother forgot to buy candles for the cake. She just shrugged and said I could make a wish anyway. I remember one evening when I was 10 years old. I had just won first place in the school science fair. My project on plant growth under different light conditions had beaten out 50 other students. I came home clutching my blue ribbon, bursting with pride. "Mom, Dad, look what I won," I said, holding up the ribbon. My father barely glanced up from his newspaper. "That's nice, Zoe." My mother was on the phone. She covered the mouthpiece and whispered, "Put it on the fridge." That same week, Megan brought home a participation certificate from a spelling bee. She had not even placed in the top 10. My parents framed it and hung it in the living room. I started to wonder if something was wrong with me. Maybe I was not trying hard enough. Maybe I was not good enough. So I tried harder. I studied until midnight. I joined every extracurricular activity. I pushed myself to excel in everything, desperate for a fraction of the attention they showered on Megan. By high school, I had a 3.9 GPA. I was captain of the debate team. I volunteered at the local animal shelter every weekend. I applied to colleges with carefully crafted essays and a resume packed with achievements. When I got accepted to UC Davis with a partial scholarship, I ran home with the acceptance letter clutched to my chest. "Mom, Dad, I got into UC Davis and they gave me a scholarship." My mother smiled briefly. "That's nice, honey. Did you hear Megan just got accepted to USC?" USC was 3 times more expensive than UC Davis. My parents paid every penny of Megan's tuition without hesitation. For me, they said the scholarship should cover most of it, and I could take out loans for the rest. I worked 2 part-time jobs throughout college to make ends meet while Megan posted photos of her sorority parties and spring break trips to Cabo. I never complained. I told myself that hard work built character, that I was learning independence, that my parents must have their reasons. But late at night in my cramped dorm room, eating ramen noodles because I could not afford anything else, I would wonder why they had chosen her over me. What had I done wrong? Why was I always invisible? I spent my entire childhood trying to earn their love. But some children are born favorites and some are born invisible. I was the invisible one. Everything changed when I met Carter. I was 26 years old, working at a logistics company in Sacramento as an assistant operations coordinator. It was a decent job, nothing glamorous, but I was proud that I had gotten it on my own merit. I stopped at a coffee shop one rainy Tuesday morning. The place was packed with people escaping the downpour, and there was only one seat left at a small table near the window. I hesitated, clutching my latte, wondering if I should just leave. "You can sit here if you want." I looked up. The man at the table had kind brown eyes and a warm smile. He was wearing work boots and a jacket with an electrical company logo on the chest. "Are you sure I don't want to bother you?" "No bother at all. I could use some company." His name was Carter. He was an electrician who had been working on a commercial building down the street. We started talking about the weather then, about our jobs, then about everything. 2 hours flew by like minutes. For the first time in years, someone was actually listening to me, not waiting for their turn to speak, not checking their phone, just listening. Carter asked about my family, and I found myself telling him things I had never told anyone. About feeling invisible, about trying so hard and never being enough, about the constant comparisons to Megan. He reached across the table and touched my hand. "That sounds really hard. I'm sorry you went through that." No one had ever said that to me before. No one had ever acknowledged my pain as real. We exchanged numbers that day, and what started as occasional coffee dates turned into something deeper. Carter was not rich. He did not have a fancy degree. But he remembered that I liked my coffee with 2 sugars and a splash of oat milk. He noticed when I was tired and would show up at my apartment with takeout and movies. He celebrated my small victories at work like they were major accomplishments. After a year of dating, Carter proposed. It was not a grand gesture at an expensive restaurant. We were sitting on his couch eating homemade pasta that he had spent all afternoon cooking. He pulled out a small velvet box. "Zoe, I know I'm not a rich man. I can't give you fancy things, but I can promise to love you every single day for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" The ring was simple, a small diamond on a silver band. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen because it came from him. "Yes," I said, tears streaming down my face. "Yes, I'll marry you." I should have known that telling my parents would be a disaster. I invited them to dinner at a nice restaurant to introduce Carter. My father wore his judgment on his face before Carter even opened his mouth. "So, Carter," my father said, cutting into his steak, "what do you do for a living?" "I'm an electrician, sir. I run my own small crew now. We mostly do commercial work." The silence that followed was deafening. My mother sipped her wine and looked away. My father set down his knife and fork with deliberate precision. After dinner, my father pulled me aside in the parking lot. "Zoe, can I speak with you for a moment?" I already knew what was coming. "You can do better than this," he said, his voice low and sharp. "He's a blue-collar worker, no college degree. What kind of future do you think you'll have with him?" "I love him, Dad. He treats me well. He respects me." "Love doesn't pay bills. Megan is dating a surgeon, you know. A surgeon. Do you want to be embarrassed at family gatherings, standing next to your sister's successful husband while yours talks about electrical wiring?" I felt the familiar sting of being compared to Megan. Even in choosing a partner, I could not escape her shadow. "I'm marrying Carter," I said firmly, "with or without your blessing." My father's eyes turned cold. "Then don't expect us to celebrate." True to his word, my parents did not celebrate. Our wedding was small, held in the backyard of Carter's parents' house. About 30 people came, friends from work, Carter's large, loving family, a few cousins who had always been kind to me. My parents did not show up. They sent no card, no gift, no explanation. Megan arrived an hour late, stayed for exactly 1 hour, then left claiming she had somewhere else to be. She did not even congratulate me properly. But Carter's family embraced me like I had always belonged with them. His mother, Martha, wrapped me in a hug that lasted a full minute. "Welcome to our family, sweetheart," she whispered. "We're so glad to have you." For the first time in my life, I felt like I was home. I thought marrying Carter was my crime in their eyes. But I would soon learn that their coldness ran much deeper than disapproval of my husband. After the wedding, Carter and I rented a small apartment in Elk Grove, a suburb about 20 minutes outside Sacramento. It was nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen that was barely big enough for both of us to stand in at the same time. But it was ours, and we filled it with love. I kept working at the logistics company, slowly climbing the ladder. After 2 years, I was promoted to operations supervisor. It was not a glamorous title, but it came with a raise and my own small team to manage. Carter's electrical business grew steadily. He hired 2 employees and started taking on bigger contracts. We were building something together. It was slow and steady, but it was real. 3 years after our wedding, I found out I was pregnant. Carter cried when I showed him the positive test. Happy tears that rolled down his cheeks as he lifted me up and spun me around our tiny living room. I called my mother to share the news. My hands were shaking as I dialed the number. "Mom, I have exciting news, I'm pregnant." A pause. "Oh, congratulations." Her voice was flat, the same tone she might use if I told her I had bought new curtains. "I was hoping you could come visit when the baby is born. Maybe stay for a few days to help out." "We'll see. Things are very busy here. You know how it is." I knew exactly how it was. They had taken 2 weeks off work when Megan had her first child. They had flown to Los Angeles, stayed in a hotel, and visited every single day. Our daughter Lily was born on a beautiful spring morning. She came into the world screaming, her tiny face red and scrunched up and absolutely perfect. She had brown eyes like mine, a button nose, and the most adorable dimples when she cried. Carter's parents drove up from Fresno the same day. They stayed for 2 weeks cooking meals, doing laundry, waking up for middle-of-the-night feedings so we could rest. Martha rocked Lily for hours, singing old lullabies in a soft, sweet voice. My parents sent a card. Inside was $50 and a generic message. "Congratulations on the baby. Best wishes, Mom and Dad." They did not visit. Not when Lily was born. Not when she turned 1. Not when she took her first steps or said her first words. Meanwhile, Megan's life continued to be showered with attention and support. She married Preston, a cardiac surgeon she had met through a mutual friend. Their wedding was a lavish affair at a 5-star hotel in San Francisco. Crystal chandeliers, a 12-piece orchestra, a guest list of over 200 people. I was invited technically. Carter and I were seated at a table in the back corner near the kitchen doors. We were so far from the head table that I could barely see my sister's face during the toasts. My father gave a speech that night. He stood at the podium, champagne glass, raised voice thick with pride. "Megan has always made us proud," he said. "She is everything parents could hope for in a daughter. She chose wisely in life and in love, and today we celebrate not just her marriage, but the wonderful future she's building." He talked for 10 minutes about Megan's accomplishments, her beauty, her intelligence, her perfect choice of partner. He did not mention me once, not even in passing, as if I was not sitting right there in the same room. Carter squeezed my hand under the table. "Let's go home," he whispered. We left before the cake was cut. I do not think anyone noticed. A year after Megan's wedding, I learned something that made everything worse. My mother's sister, Aunt Ruth, called me one evening. We had always gotten along, even though she lived across the country in Virginia, and we rarely saw each other. "Zoe, honey, how are you? I've been thinking about you." We chatted for a while about Lily and Carter and life in general. Then Aunt Ruth said something that stopped my heart. "Your parents must be so happy giving Megan that money for her new house. What a generous gift." I froze. "What money?" Silence on the other end. Then Aunt Ruth's voice, suddenly nervous. "Oh, I thought you knew. I'm sorry, I assumed they told you." "Told me what, Aunt Ruth?" She hesitated before answering. "Your parents gave Megan $200,000 for a down payment on her house in Beverly Hills. It was from some family fund, I think." $200,000. My parents had given my sister $200,000, and I had never heard a word about any family fund. "I didn't know there was a family fund," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I really thought you knew." That night I cried in Carter's arms until there were no tears left. He held me close and stroked my hair and told me we did not need their money. "We have each other," he said. "We have Lily. That's all that matters." I nodded and tried to believe him, but the wound cut deeper than I could admit. I convinced myself that money did not matter, that I was better off without their approval. But then came the invitation that never arrived, and the photo that exposed everything. It was early October when I first learned about my parents' anniversary party. I was scrolling through Facebook during my lunch break, a habit I had developed, even though social media usually just made me feel worse about my life compared to everyone else's highlight reels. Megan had posted a graphic. It was designed like a formal invitation, elegant fonts on a cream-colored background. Save the date, it read. Harold and Diane's 40th anniversary celebration, Saturday, October 19th. Join us for an evening of love, laughter, and family at the Grand Oak Restaurant, downtown Sacramento. 40th anniversary. 40 years of marriage. That was a major milestone. Surely I would be invited to something this important. I waited for my invitation to arrive. Every day I checked the mailbox with hopeful anticipation. 1 week passed. Nothing. 2 weeks. Still nothing. 3 weeks before the party date, and my mailbox remained empty of anything from my parents. Maybe it got lost in the mail, I told myself. Maybe they assumed I saw Megan's post and knew I was welcome. Maybe I should just call and confirm. I picked up the phone on a Wednesday evening. Lily was playing with blocks in the living room. Carter was working late on a big project. The house was quiet except for my daughter's happy babbling. My mother answered on the third ring. Hello? Hi, Mom, it's Zoe. Zoe. Her voice was neither warm nor cold, just flat. What can I do for you? I saw Megan's post about your anniversary party. I was wondering if my invitation got lost in the mail. I never received one. The silence that followed lasted so long, I thought the call had dropped. Mom, are you still there? Yes, I'm here. She cleared her throat. Zoe, I wasn't going to tell you this, but we think it's better if you don't come. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Why? It's complicated. There will be a lot of important people there. Business associates of your father, family friends, people from the country club. We don't want any awkwardness. Awkwardness? I'm your daughter. How is my presence awkward? My mother sighed like I was being deliberately difficult. You know what I mean? Your situation is different. Carter's profession, your lifestyle. It doesn't fit with the image we're presenting for the evening. I could not believe what I was hearing. Mom, this is your 40th anniversary, 40 years. And you're telling me I can't come because of my husband's job, because he works with his hands instead of sitting behind a desk. It's not just that, she said, her voice growing colder. It's everything. The choices you've made, the path you've taken. Please, Zoe, just don't make this harder than it has to be. Desperation crept into my voice. What about Lily? She's your granddaughter. She should be there to celebrate her grandparents. Another long pause. Lily is 4 years old. She's practically a stranger to us. It would be confusing for the other guests to explain who she is. Confusing to explain who she is, as if my daughter was some shameful secret that needed to be hidden. Mom, please. I hated how much I was begging. I've always tried to be a good daughter. I know we've had our differences, but this is a major milestone. I want to celebrate with you. I want to be part of the family. My mother's response was slow and deliberate, each word landing like a hammer blow. Zoe, you've always been difficult. Always doing things your own way. Marrying that man, living that life. You chose your path. Now let us have our day without complications. Difficult. The word came out strangled. I was never difficult. I was invisible. There's a difference. Don't be dramatic. We've always loved you. Then prove it. Let me come to the party. Silence. I'm sorry, Zoe. The decision is final. Don't come. It's better for everyone. The line went dead. I sat there for a long time, the phone still pressed against my ear, listening to nothing. Tears rolled down my cheeks and dripped onto my shirt. In the other room, Lily laughed at something, that pure, joyful sound that children make when they have no idea how cruel the world can be. On Saturday, October 19th, I stayed home. Carter tried to make the evening special. He cooked my favorite meal, chicken parmesan with homemade pasta. We opened a bottle of wine and watched a Disney movie with Lily, who fell asleep on the couch between us. I pretended to be okay. I smiled and laughed at the funny parts of the movie. I told Carter how delicious dinner was, but inside I felt hollow, empty, like a piece of me had been surgically removed. After Lily was asleep in her bed, I sat alone in the living room. Carter had gone to take a shower. The house was quiet. I picked up my phone. I knew I should not look. I knew it would only hurt me, but I could not help myself. I opened Facebook. The notification was at the top of my feed. Megan posted a new photo. I clicked on it, and everything changed. The first photo showed my family gathered around an elegant dining table. Crystal glasses sparkled under chandelier light. White roses and candles created a romantic centerpiece. My parents sat at the head of the table, my mother in a cream-colored dress, my father in a dark suit. To their left sat Megan and her husband Preston. Their two children, Ethan and Emma, sat beside them in matching formal outfits. Everyone was smiling. Everyone looked beautiful and happy and perfect. The caption read, "Celebrating 40 years of love with my whole family. Mom and Dad, you've given us everything. We love you. My whole family." I read those words 3 times, each time feeling the knife twist deeper. According to my sister, this was the whole family. My parents, Megan, Preston, their children. I was not part of the whole. Neither was Carter. Neither was Lily. We had been erased. I zoomed in on the photo searching for something. I did not know what. Maybe some sign that they had mentioned me. Maybe an empty chair that was meant for me. Something. There was nothing. I scrolled down. Megan had posted a series of photos from the evening. The second one showed my father standing at a podium, microphone in hand, giving a speech. Behind him hung a large banner. Harold and Diane, 40 years of building a legacy. Below the banner were 2 enormous framed photographs. On one side was my parents' wedding photo from 40 years ago. On the other side was a recent portrait of Megan, Preston, Ethan, and Emma. 2 photos. That was the legacy they were celebrating. Their wedding and Megan's family. No photo of me, no photo of Carter, no photo of Lily. It was as if we did not exist at all. The third photo made me physically sick. It showed my parents handing something to Megan. A large envelope, a leather-bound book that looked like a financial ledger. Both parents were beaming with pride. Megan was crying happy tears. The caption read, "The gift that keeps on giving. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for your generosity." I zoomed in on the background. There was a projection screen behind them, probably used for a slideshow during the party. The current slide was clearly visible. Family trust distribution to our daughter, Megan, and her family. Below that, in large numbers, $500,000. $500,000. My parents had just given my sister $500,000 in front of everyone they knew. Added to the $200,000 they had already given her for her house, that was $700,000 total. And I had received nothing, not a single dollar, not even an invitation to the party where this fortune was being distributed. I started reading the comments below the photos. Friends and family members congratulating my parents on their milestone, complimenting Megan on her dress, praising the beautiful venue. One comment stopped my heart. It was from Helen Morrison, my mother's best friend since college. "What a beautiful family. Megan is so blessed to be an only child with such wonderful parents." Only child. Helen thought Megan was an only child. I kept reading. Another comment from my father's cousin Barry. "Harold, you've raised an amazing daughter, singular. The best, singular. 1 daughter, not 2. Just 1. My parents had not just excluded me from the party. They had erased me from their narrative entirely. They had told their friends, their family, their entire social circle that Megan was their only daughter, that I did not exist. 34 years of my life, 34 years of trying to earn their love, and they had pretended I was never born. I dropped my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could not hold it anymore. The screen landed face up on the carpet, the photo of my smiling family still glowing in the darkness. Carter came out of the bathroom, towel around his shoulders. He saw my face and rushed to my side. "Honey, what's wrong? What happened?" I pointed at the phone. I could not form words. He picked it up and looked at the photos, read the caption, saw the banner, the trust fund announcement, the comments. His face went through a series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, then pure righteous anger. They erased you, Zoe. They pretended you don't exist. I finally found my voice. It came out broken and raw. They gave her $500,000, Carter. They told everyone she's their only child. I'm nothing to them. I never was. He pulled me into his arms and held me while I sobbed. Not the quiet tears I had been crying for years. These were ugly, heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep in my gut. 34 years of pain and rejection pouring out all at once. I'm going to find out the truth, I said when I could finally speak again. I need to know why. I need to understand. The next morning, I called Aunt Ruth. She answered on the second ring, her voice hesitant, like she had been expecting this call. Zoe, honey, I saw Megan's photos last night. I am so sorry. Aunt Ruth, I need to know the truth. All of it. Please. She was quiet for a long moment. I could hear her breathing, could sense her wrestling with loyalty to her brother versus compassion for me. Finally, she spoke. Your parents have been telling people that you cut ties with the family years ago, that you wanted nothing to do with them, that you chose to estrange yourself. That's a lie. The words exploded out of me. They're the ones who pushed me away. They didn't come to my wedding. They never visit Lily. They told me not to come to their anniversary party. I know, sweetheart. I always suspected the story they told wasn't the whole truth. But Harold is my brother. I didn't feel like it was my place to interfere. What about the trust fund? The family fund you mentioned before? Aunt Ruth sighed heavily. It was set up about 10 years ago. Your grandparents left a substantial amount when they passed, and your parents invested it. The original plan was to split it between you and Megan when certain conditions were met. Marriage, buying a home, having children. But I did all those things. I got married, I have a daughter. Why didn't I receive anything? After you married Carter, your parents changed the trust documents. They removed your name entirely. Everything was redirected to Megan and her future family. The betrayal was so complete, so deliberate that I could barely breathe. They never told me any of this. They never even mentioned there was a trust. I think that was intentional, Aunt Ruth said softly. They didn't want you to know what you were being excluded from. After I hung up with Aunt Ruth, I told Carter everything. He listened in silence, his jaw tight, his hands clenched into fists. This is beyond anything I imagined, he said. They didn't just favor Megan. They systematically erased you from the family, changed legal documents to cut you out, told everyone you don't exist. I need to confront them, I said. I need to look them in the eye and ask why. Carter nodded. I agree. But are you sure you're ready for that? Whatever they say, it's probably going to hurt. It can't hurt more than what I've already seen. At least I'll have answers. The next day, I drove to my parents' house. It was a Saturday morning, crisp and clear, the kind of beautiful autumn day that should have felt hopeful. Instead, my stomach churned with dread. I parked in front of the house where I grew up, the house where I had tried so hard to be seen, where I had won awards and achieved milestones that went unnoticed, where I had slowly become invisible. I walked up the familiar path and rang the doorbell. My mother opened the door. When she saw me, her face went pale. Zoe, what are you doing here? We need to talk. I did not wait for an invitation. I stepped past her into the house. My father was sitting in the living room reading the newspaper. He looked up with an expression of pure irritation. I thought we made it clear you weren't welcome here. I stood in the middle of the room facing both of them. I saw the photos from your party, the banner that only showed Megan's family, the trust fund announcement giving her $500,000, the comments from your friends calling Megan your only child. My mother and father exchanged a glance, but said nothing. You've been telling everyone I don't exist. You changed the family trust to cut me out entirely. You've erased me from your lives. I deserve to know why. My mother sat down on the couch, smoothing her skirt with nervous hands. You made your choices, Zoe. You married beneath you. You chose a life we couldn't be proud of. We had to think about our reputation. Beneath me, I felt the anger rising in my chest. Carter is a good man. He works hard. He loves me and Lily. He respects me, which is more than either of you ever did. My father set down his newspaper with an air of tired patience, like he was dealing with a difficult child. "We gave you every opportunity," he said. "A good home, education. You threw it all away for some electrician who will never amount to anything." I didn't throw anything away. I built a life, a happy life. But you couldn't stand that, could you? You couldn't control my choices, so you erased me. "That's not fair," my mother said. "Not fair." I let out a bitter laugh. "You gave Megan $700,000 total. I never even knew there was a family trust until last year, and I had to hear about it from Aunt Ruth. You didn't invite me to your anniversary. You told everyone I estranged myself when you're the ones who pushed me away. And I'm the one being unfair." My father stood up, and for a moment I thought he might yell at me, but his voice was cold and calm when he spoke. "That was somehow worse." "Fine. You want the truth? Here it is." He looked at me with eyes that held no warmth, no love, nothing. "You were never the daughter we wanted. From the moment you were born, you were different. Stubborn, independent, always questioning everything, always going your own way." My mother nodded along like this was perfectly reasonable. My father continued. "Megan was easy, obedient. She understood what it meant to be part of this family. She made choices we could be proud of. She married well. She gave us beautiful grandchildren who carry on our name properly. And me," my voice was barely a whisper, "you rejected everything we stood for. That man you married will never be anything special. And that child of yours, she's not even a real part of this family." The words hit me like physical blows. My own father had just called my daughter not a real part of the family. "Lily is your granddaughter by blood," I said, my voice shaking with fury. "How can you say she's not part of the family?" My mother answered, her tone dismissive. "Lily doesn't know us. She's a stranger. We see her maybe once a year, if that. Because you never tried every birthday, every holiday I invited you. You always had excuses. You chose to be strangers to her. That was your decision, not mine." My father crossed his arms. "We chose to invest our time and resources in a daughter who appreciated what we gave her. Megan deserves everything she gets. You deserve nothing." I stood there looking at the two people who had given me life, the two people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. And I saw them clearly for the first time. They were small, petty, shallow people who measured worth by status and wealth. They had rejected me not because I had done anything wrong, but because I had refused to live by their narrow definitions of success. Because I had chosen love over prestige, happiness over appearances. Something shifted inside me. The desperate pleading child who had spent 34 years seeking their approval finally fell silent. In her place stood a woman who knew her own worth. "You're right about one thing," I said, my voice steady now. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve to be treated like garbage by people who are supposed to love me unconditionally." My parents looked surprised by my calm tone. "But Lily deserves grandparents who adore her. And she has them. Carter's parents love her with their whole hearts. They show up for every birthday, every milestone. They call just to hear her voice. They are her real grandparents in every way that matters." I picked up my purse and walked toward the door. "As for you two, you just lost your daughter. Not because I chose to leave, but because you pushed me out. You made it clear that I was never really part of this family." My mother started to say something, but I held up my hand. "Don't. There's nothing you can say that will fix this. I don't want your apologies. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you except to be left alone." I opened the front door and paused. "Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Dad. Don't contact me again. I mean it." I walked out and did not look back. The first week after that confrontation was brutal. I cried more than I thought possible, not because I missed my parents. I cried for the relationship I had always wanted but never had. I cried for the little girl who had tried so hard to be good enough. I cried for 34 years of hoping things would change. Carter was my rock through all of it. He held me when I needed to be held. He gave me space when I needed to be alone. He never once said, "I told you so," or made me feel weak for grieving. Lily knew something was wrong, even if she did not understand what. "Mommy, why are you sad?" she asked one evening, climbing into my lap. I hugged her tight, breathing in the sweet scent of her shampoo. Sometimes grown-ups have big feelings they need to work through, I said, but it doesn't mean I love you any less. I love you more than anything in the whole wide world. I love you too, Mommy. To the moon and back. That simple phrase, something I had taught her, broke through the darkness. I had a daughter who loved me completely. I had a husband who cherished me. I had a family just not the one I was born into. The following week, we went to Fresno for an early Thanksgiving dinner with Carter's family. His mother, Martha, had prepared an enormous spread: turkey with all the trimmings, 3 kinds of pie, a table overflowing with warmth and abundance. Carter's father, Frank, told terrible jokes that made everyone groan and laugh at the same time. His sister came with her husband and their twin boys, who immediately dragged Lily off to play in the backyard. The house was loud and chaotic and perfect. After dinner, Martha found me in the kitchen helping with dishes. "Zoe, honey, I heard what happened with your parents. Carter told us." I braced myself, not sure what to expect. She pulled me into a hug so warm and genuine that tears sprang to my eyes. "You are the daughter I always wanted," she said. "From the moment Carter brought you home, I knew you were special. Don't ever forget that you belong here. You belong with us." I hugged her back, unable to speak. This was what family was supposed to feel like. In the months that followed, I took deliberate steps to heal. I blocked my parents and Megan on all social media. I did not want to see their perfectly curated lives anymore. I asked Aunt Ruth to stop updating me on family news. The only family that mattered to me now was the one I had built. I also started seeing a therapist. Her name was Dr. Patel, a kind woman who specialized in family trauma. With her help, I began to unpack 34 years of feeling invisible, of seeking approval from people incapable of giving it, of measuring my worth by standards that were never designed for me to meet. "Your parents' rejection says nothing about your value," Dr. Patel told me during one session. "It says everything about their limitations. They are not capable of the kind of unconditional love you deserved." "Then why does it still hurt so much?" I asked. "Because you are human. And humans are wired to seek connection with their parents. But you can grieve what you never had, while also building something better with the people who truly see you." I carried those words with me every day. Life went on. Lily started preschool and made friends. Carter landed a big contract that allowed him to hire 2 more electricians. I was promoted to regional manager at my company, overseeing operations for the entire Northern California territory. We saved enough for a down payment on a small house in Elk Grove. It was nothing fancy. 3 bedrooms, a little backyard for Lily to play in, a garage where Carter could set up his workshop. But we bought it with our own money, every dollar earned through our own hard work. The day we moved in, I stood in the empty living room and cried. Happy tears this time. "We did it," I said to Carter. "We actually did it." He wrapped his arms around me from behind. "We did, and we did it together." 6 months after the anniversary party, I got a letter in the mail. The return address was my parents' house. I stared at the envelope for a long time before opening it. Inside was a single sheet of paper with my mother's handwriting. "Dear Zoe, we hope you are well. We wanted to let you know that your father has been having some health issues. Nothing too serious, but it made us think about family. We were hoping you might reconsider your decision. Perhaps we could meet for coffee sometime. Love, Mom." I read the letter 3 times. Then I walked to the recycling bin and dropped it in. Maybe that sounds cold. Maybe some people would say I should have reached out, tried to reconcile, given them another chance. But I knew better. The letter did not contain an apology. It did not acknowledge what they had done. It was just another attempt to pull me back into their orbit on their terms. I had spent 34 years on their terms. That was enough. I wrote back a brief response. "Thank you for reaching out. I hope Dad feels better soon. But I have moved on with my life. I think it's best for everyone if we keep things as they are. I wish you both well." I never heard from them again. Looking back now, I realize that the anniversary party was the best thing that could have happened to me. Not because I enjoyed being excluded, not because the discovery did not devastate me, but because it forced me to finally see the truth I had been avoiding my entire life. I was never going to be enough for my parents. Not because I was lacking, but because they had decided before I was old enough to understand that I would never fit their vision of the perfect daughter. My brown hair instead of blonde, my independent spirit instead of obedience, my choices that prioritize love over status. The photo my sister posted did not just expose their favoritism, it exposed the fact that I had been chasing something that never existed. My parents were not capable of loving me the way I needed to be loved. And once I accepted that I was finally free, free to stop seeking their approval, free to stop comparing myself to Megan, free to stop feeling guilty for choosing Carter, free to build a life defined by my own values, not theirs. If you have ever felt invisible to the people who should love you most, I want you to know something. Their blindness is not your failure. Their coldness is not your fault. Their rejection says everything about them and nothing about you. Family is not always blood. Family is the people who show up, who stay, who love you without conditions or expectations, who celebrate your successes and hold you through your failures. I am 34 years old. I am married to a man who treats me like gold. I have a daughter who lights up my world. I have in-laws who call me their daughter and mean it with their whole hearts. My biological parents erased me from their lives. They gave my sister hundreds of thousands of dollars while pretending I did not exist. They told the world they had only one child, but in losing them, I found something more valuable. I found my real family, the family that chose me, and I would not trade that for all the inheritance in the world. Have you ever experienced something similar? Have you ever felt invisible to people who should have loved you unconditionally? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. Please share your experiences because you never know who might need to hear them. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel so you never miss another story, and share this video with someone who might need to hear that they are not alone, that being rejected by family does not define their worth, that there is always hope for finding the people who will truly see them. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. Your support means more than you know. I hope wherever you are tonight, you are surrounded by people who love you exactly as you are. Take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, you are always enough. You always were.